All right, so our recording has started, and we're actually going to go into our install fest now. So starting from the very top, we can see that we need to have Slack, we need Zoom, and then we can join operation code. I'm going to go ahead and then take a wild guess that everyone has already done that. Everything else here kind of goes in detail in the differences between the different operating systems. But currently right now, we don't really need to discuss this too much. Let's go ahead and actually move into the Mac OS install fest and go through getting our environment set up. So we'll open this up. We see that it's going to need our Apple ID. It's going to ask for a general software update. I already taken care of that, but just in case we all need to see it, what we would do is we would click, I believe here, system settings, and then there's a software update available, which at that point you would want to update it. I'm not going to do it because obviously if I do it now, it's going to kick me out of the Zoom and then we would have to restart this whole process all over again, and we don't want that. All right, so once that software update is completed, then we actually start moving into the terminal. So we have macOS as a default terminal application, which is iTerm. I personally do not like iTerm, but if you would like it, you can go ahead and get it installed. All right, so now it's being installed, and now I have iTerm, which I'll just put right down here in my dock. Or maybe right down here. There you go. Okay. You could go into altering your terminal and making it look all nice and pretty. I'm not really going to cover that now. It's not necessary. But basically, it's just for your CSH terminal. You could add a couple of themes and do things to it to make it more unique and make it more for yourself. The next thing we have here is Visual Studio Code. So let me go ahead and open that up. You can see Visual Studio has populated. I want it for Mac. Okay, it's being downloaded. And while that downloads, I can go ahead and read through this. Okay, I can see that once it's downloaded, I need to move it into my applications folder. And then I need to open up VS Code, go into the command palette, and make a couple of changes to give myself the command of code. So let's see how that goes. It's trying, promise. Okay, so VS Code has been installed. I'm just going to move it over to my applications. Okay, now that it's in my applications, I can go ahead and open VS Code. Okay, so VS Code has been opened. It's going to ask me a couple of things. What would I like to do here? I'll go and click on this one, and I think that's pretty much all it's going to ask me. All right. And then the next thing is going to be Command-Shift-P, which is going to bring up the palette. All right. And here in the palette, all I'm going to do is type in code, I believe. Let me double check. Command palette, Command-Shift-P. Oh, it looks like I need shell command. So I'm going to look up shell command. All right, so shell command install code. So I'm going to click on that. It's going to say code will now open prompt for administrator privileges. Okay, and then I myself am the administrator. So it's going to ask me for my password. Okay, and now it's been successfully installed in my path. Okay, well, what does that mean? What did I just do, right? Let me go ahead and create a directory. And for creating a directory, it's going to be make directory. So make directory in short is MK for make, and then dir for directory. And then after that, I'm going to place a space, and I'm going to name it whatever it is that I want the directory to be named. So in this case, I'll go with install fest. Okay, so now if I do ls, I can see install fest is now included inside of the items of this directory. I'm going to change directory into installfest. And then I'm just going to run the code command. So I'm going to say code space. And then when I run the code command, I want to tell it or give it a path of what it is that I want it to open. Since I wanted to open this current directory, I'm going to place a period saying everything within the directory of installfest, I want you to open it through VS Code. So now when I run that, we can see that it opens up VS Code, and the folder that's open in VS Code is installfest. And this might be a little small, so let me make that a little bigger. Okay, how's that for everyone? Is everyone up to speed here? Some thumbs up, any questions?
I've got a quick question. This this installfest directory, do we have to make that, or like if we already have everything installed, are we cool to just kind of watch and follow, or are we actually gonna need this directory for something here shortly?
No, you're not going to need this directory. This is mainly for practice and demonstrational purposes. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Of course. All right, so now we see that I opened up the terminal. To open up a terminal in VS Code, all you need to do is Control, Shift, and caret. If you don't want to do it that way, you can also go up to the upper bar, click on Terminal, and then you click on New Terminal. That will open up the terminal bar down below. And this terminal is exactly the same as the one that I had opened up earlier. All right, we can see that it's at the parent directory of Francisco, but it's currently in the installfest directory. So if I do ls, it's going to show me nothing. And if I tell it to show me my path, I can run pwd, and we can see that it's inside of the users. It's inside of myself, which is Francisco, and I'm currently inside of the installfest directory. Okay, so now I know where I am. I have this opened up, and I'm good to continue pushing forward now. All right, Visual Studio Code is set up. I did my command. That's all set. And I practice being able to open a file through my terminal. So code's working well. I have no problem there. And now I need to install Homebrew. So Homebrew, what is Homebrew? Well, all Homebrew really is a package manager, and it's just an easier way to install everything that we need to install in order to get our environment set up. So we're going to go ahead and install Homebrew. And I believe we have the command here, but just in case you don't want to use this command, you could also copy it straight from here. All right, so I could click copy. I can paste it into my terminal. Don't care about that right now. Then I can run it. It's going to ask me for my password. And this is called blind typing, right? When I click on the keyboard, you're going to see that nothing is actually showing up on my terminal. But it's actually registering what's happening. It's just not showing it to me. Okay. And then it's going to tell me about Xcode. It's going to tell me that it needs to install it. And there it goes, installing good old Homebrew. This may take a while. So Chicago, how's the weather over there right now? Is it getting cold yet?
No, it's like 80.
Beautiful.
It's just cold in the classroom.
Oh, it's cold in the classroom?
It's a little cool in the mornings.
That's
Yeah, like
great.
the 60s.
I was there about 2 weeks ago, I think. And it was raining a little bit, but it seems like the weather's for the majority of the year pretty nice. But Adam was telling me that that's not the case, that it gets pretty rough during the winter.
Winters are brutal.
Yeah, I bet.
Hey, quick question. How did you get the terminal to show up in VS Code?
Yeah, so once you have VS Code opened up, you just click on VS Code and do Control, Shift, and caret. All three keys are on the left-hand side. The caret is your upper left key right under the escape. Did that work?
It's just going between tabs for me when I hit that. Control. Oh, hold on. Control Shift there. Yeah, I got it now. I
Okay,
was hitting
perfect.
accident.
Which one were you hitting? The tab?
Command
Oh,
Shift.
command.
Yeah.
Question. So I copy and pasted the install homebrew link into the terminal, and not sure if it did anything.
What do you mean you're not sure if it did anything? Did it show you anything? Did it just stop right after you ran it? Is there
Well, I
letter?
see all the lines in your terminal right now. Mine just says like D quote CMD sub.
You may have to share your screen. Let me go ahead and stop sharing really quickly. Go ahead and share your screen. You're also muted.
One second, sorry.
Of course, no problem.
It's not letting me for some reason.
You may have to change your settings to allow you to share your screen.
Okay. I don't want to take up anyone else's time, so I'll just do that in the background.
Okay, sounds good. Just in case, you could try the one from the website and see if that will work rather than the one from our documentation. But they should be the same. All right, let's go ahead and continue forward here. Okay, so now we have Brew fully installed. We can see that it's done, but it's telling me to do a couple of steps before I continue going. Right, so it specifically tells me, hey, before you continue, here are your next steps. It tells me run these two commands in your terminal to get homebrew into your path. All right, and then it tells me the commands that I need. Okay, perfect. So let's see. It looks like I just need these two. Okay, and although it didn't give me any sort of confirmation or showed me anything, after I ran those two commands or just copied and paste them, everything's going to be registering correctly now. So now I'm able to go ahead and go and run brew doctor to make sure that brew is working correctly. So I'm going to run brew doctor. And there it is. It tells me your system is ready to brew. I'm done. Okay, brew has been successfully installed. Is everyone up to speed with this? Okay, great. So now that we have brew going and it's working correctly, I don't need to worry about Visual Studio Code or anything like that, and I can continue moving forward. Okay, we talked about brew, and here we have brew update. Well, let's see what brew update brings in. Since we just installed it, it may need an update. Oh, well, it's telling me it's already up to date. And let's make sure I run brew doctor as well, just to make sure that it didn't get anything. All right, so brew doctor is good. I'm on the latest version. Now I'm going to continue moving forward. All right, so now we have this modify your CSHRC. Well, what is the CSHRC? All right, let me see if I can open this up. Code. Or actually, I'm going to change directory into my root folder. And if I run ls here, we can see that all it shows me is the main directories that are supposed to be exposed, right? But if I run ls-a here, well, now it's going to show me all of the hidden directories that it doesn't typically show me. It's just going to show me things that I may or may not need access to. And now it's showing me everything that actually exists at the parent directory. And here we can see I have this CF user text encoding. I have the CSH history. and I have this Z profile. I have all these files, but I don't have a ZSHRC. All right. So if I run this command code CSHRC, it's going to actually give me, well, I think it's going to give me an error. Let's see what it does. Let's see. Okay, so it was actually able to create one and open it. So it created a .cshrc file and then opened it up. Now this CSHRC file is going to interact with our CSH terminal later on. What we're going to do is we're going to run this command of source CSHRC. And what source does is it's telling this ZSH terminal to find this file and read it. And when it reads it, it's supposed to look in here and say, okay, well, every time I see a path or there's something being exported and it's being specified in this file, this is what I'm going to use as kind of preloaded information before I run any command inside of the terminal. Does that make sense to everyone? It's kind of like a memory card, but it's just working in a file.
Yeah, I'm not up to speed, but I did find out how to share my screen.
Oh, okay, perfect. Let me go ahead and actually this could be a good pausing point. Let me stop sharing and then you can share your screen.
Do you see my screen?
I can, yes. Go ahead and do Control C.
Control C.
And now copy that path from the right side. There's a button on the far right-hand corner that you can just click. Yep. And then paste it. And press enter. Enter your password. It's not
This is
gonna.
the password for.
Oh, for your computer. There you go. And then just press enter and it's going to continue.
Cool. Does this take a while? Okay.
Yeah,
Just for the record, I had the same issue yesterday, actually, with the link that was sent out, the documentation. It didn't work for me either. And I had to go to the Homebrew website as well.
Okay. More than likely, we just need to adjust some sort of quotation mark in there. I apologize, everyone. We're almost there, Brian. I'll go ahead and address that question shortly. Okay, Anna. Could you stop sharing real quick, Josh? And then Anna, can you share your screen?
Yeah, so when I ran Brew Doctor, I got like a long list of lines, and then I got a warning down here at the end.
If you scroll up right before you ran Brew Doctor towards where you completed installing Brew.
Hey, Francisco, this might be the error that I was talking to you about a few days ago.
Well, it's not an error. It's yeah, I get what you're talking about.
Yeah, it doesn't actually show what it is because there's so many files.
Okay. Yeah, it's a warning. So it shouldn't be anything that we should be concerned about. For now, we're gonna keep pushing forward with it, and if it raises any issues, just let me know.
Oh, sounds good.
All right. Anyone else?
I had a similar thing happen with mine, except for it doesn't even give a warning.
Okay. Yeah, let me check it out.
So yeah, when I hit Brew Doctor, it just gave me all of this. There's
Okay,
no
but
warning.
yeah, but it's done.
Yes.
Okay, as long as if it didn't throw you an error, we're good to go. It looks like that's the same exact message that Anna had as well.
Okay.
All right, let's go ahead and keep moving unless someone else has something else. Are we all good now? Oh, what's up, Andrew?
Yeah, so I think it is installed. Um, but I'm not when I type in brew doctor, it's not telling me that my system is ready to brew. It's just giving me all these giving me all the nodes, but I'm not getting anything beyond that.
Yeah, if it's just giving you a bunch of files of unstaged kegs or something like that, say again.
Then it's gonna go, right?
Yes, that's okay. We're good to
Okay.
keep moving forward.
Got it. Thanks.
Okay, let's go ahead and let me reshare my screen really quick. All right, so now we have this code ZSH, and we're just basically going to give it a path, right? We can take this straight from the documentation that we have. We're going to grab this and place it on the .cshrc. And once that is completed, I can go ahead and save it. So I'm going to Command S for save. And we can see that it's telling me that it's now a path that exists and it knows where it's located. And I can go ahead and close this file now. Okay, so now that I close the file, again, if I run ls-a, it's now going to show me that I have a .cshrc file. And now that I have a .cshrc file, I can run source to tell VS Code to always utilize this as a source before running any form of commands through this terminal. It's not going to give me any sort of completed message, but it's not giving me an error. So that's how I know it was successful. Did that fix your issue, Brian?
Let me double check. I don't think I've got it quite yet. So I do have that .cshrc when I hit LSA, but then it gives me the same thing when I hit the source command.
Okay, yeah, let's check it out. Can you share your screen, and then could you run code ~/cshrc?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So you have it at the very top, you have export path, and then can you save this really quick? Just click on the file and then do Control S. Okay, now just close it. The file, not the S code. FW, interesting. Can you click on your terminal and then run Control C? Didn't do anything? I can't hear you, Brian.
No, it doesn't. I hit Control C and it just came up with the same. It just repeated the little squiggly.
Interesting. Can you try running clear on there?
Yeah. Okay, there we go.
Okay, so now do source space dot, well, actually tilde slash dot and then ZSH. Yeah, perfect. Can't update not a Git repository. Interesting. We're gonna have to get together after this and then we'll have to diagnose that together. I'm not sure where that error is coming from, and it might be a little complicated to do it in front of everyone.
Okay, yeah, it started running that same thing every time I open my terminal.
Okay, yeah, it runs it because it tries to read the .cshrc file, and every time it reads it and it comes up with this error. So it doesn't know how to continue working correctly without us addressing it. That's why.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, you should be able to continue doing install fast for now, though. It ran away from you, didn't it? The Zoom bar? You can't find it to stop sharing? Happens every time.
Yep.
All right. Okay, so
So
now
where should everyone be right now?
by now everyone should have a .cshrc file created. Yep. That CSHRC file should have the following. Should say export path equals path, and then exactly what the path is supposed to be. And then everyone should have ran the command of source tilde CSHRC. Does that answer your question, Josh?
Yes, I'm still like trying to, it said like next steps, run these two commands, and I tried running those two commands and it's still, I don't think I'm like quite there.
Okay, yeah, let me check it out real quick. Copy from the opening parentheses. Left side, left. All the way to the left. Actually, here, I'll do you one better. From here, all the way to here.
Yep.
And then copy that and paste it onto your terminal. And there you go. That was it. So now you could run Brood Doctor.
What does that mean?
Brood Doctor. It's BRE
I should just type.
space doctor. Okay, there you go. So your system's now ready to brew. So now you could try brew update, but you shouldn't have anything. Okay, yeah, you're good.
All right, appreciate it.
Of course. All right, Matthew got something. He found something. So if you haven't checked it out, I would check it out. All right, so now we have our CSHRC file. Everything has been created. And now we can go ahead and start working with Python. Well, Python 3 comes in pre-installed, but it's not the correct Python. If we look at Python, I think it's which Python? Oh no, it does come in pre-installed with the correct Python. Interesting. Yeah, so if we run something like Python 3 on here, and I run it, we can see that it actually knocks me into a Python script, right? So now I'm writing in a Python script. I can say, hey, what is 3 plus 3? And And if I run, it's going to give me 6. So I can say print hello world. If I run, it's going to say hello world. So it's just simple Python, and it was already pre-installed. In order to exit, I just have to trigger the exit method, and then I'm out. All right, so entered Python 3. I was able to run a little bit of Python code, and now I'm back to my original terminal. But now the question is, which type of Python is it that I want to use, right? So it tells me to use the which command, and the which command should give me the Python that I currently have. So I can run which Python 3. And it's going to give me the correct location of where Python 3 is located in my Mac. Well, although it's installed, it doesn't have the most up-to-date version. Instead, I want to install the most up-to-date version through brew. So now I'm going to go ahead and run brew install Python. Now we can see that brew is grabbing the newest version of Python. It's making sure that it's the one that's updated. Now remember, first we had this one, right? Which came out as user bin Python 3. But we need one to be in user local bin Python 3. So now when I run which Python 3, it's giving me the incorrect one. Interesting. Let's see. I can try running Command Shift P. And then interpreter, I believe. Let me try to give this a look real quick. It may be fixed once we start working with the alias. So let's keep pushing forward now. And if we see that it causes a problem later on with Python still, then we'll just have to come back and address where it can find Python. Oh, Frank has a question. What's up, Frank?
So for mine it's saying that it's installed in OPT homebrew bin, but when I ran it like a test a while back, it worked fine. Am I still good?
Yeah, you're still okay. The thing is that once we set up our alias and we finish setting up our ZSHRC, we're gonna have everything so that VS Code knows exactly the Python 3 that it's using and where to find it. We're just getting to that spot right now.
Okay.
All right. So now we have to fix the issue of pip, right? We have Python, but we don't have pip just yet. So now I'm gonna go ahead and get pip. And all pip is another way of downloading and installing packages and files and libraries. And we're just going to do it through Python 3. So I'm going to say Python 3-m ensure pip. Okay, and that's just making sure that pip is actually in Python. It's telling me that it's already, the requirements are already satisfied. And it's just basically saying, hey, you already have pip. We don't need to make sure that it actually exists in here. And now if I run pip3, going to give me all this information about pip. It's going to say, hey, you do have pip, but what is it exactly that you want to use with it, right? So it tells me, hey, this is how you use it. Here's pip3, and this is where your command would go. And then it tells me these are all the commands that you can use. And then there's a couple of other options that we'll more than likely never use in this course. All right, so now I have pip3. Everything's good there. And then I want to make sure that I can create a virtual environment. So a virtual environment, we're not going to go too much into talking about what a virtual environment is. Instead, we're going to concentrate about the fact that we can actually create one and that it has the appropriate files that we need. And later on, once we get into our backend framework and start talking about Django, then we'll start talking about what a virtual environment is and what it does for us. But we can see that if I run this Python 3-m VMV defaults, if I run ls, I now have a virtual environment named default. And if I run ls on default, we can see that it also has a bin, an include, a lib, and a pivem. So now if I do bin and I run that, well, it's going to show me that I have an activate script. All right. And here we can see that these are the three things that I need. So I need to be able to grab default, which we already make sure that we can go into. I need to make sure that I can go into bin, which we also have checked off. And then I have my last file, which is activate, which I know it exists. So I know this path is valid and that everything works. So now I can run source, default, bin, activate. And after I see that, after I run that command, we're going to see that default in parentheses appears on my left side of my command line. Can everyone see that? Am I going too fast? Everyone up to speed?
Real quick, I don't see activate in the directory.
Okay, yeah, let me go ahead and stop sharing, and then you can share your screen so I can check it out, please.
Okay. Okay, can you see it?
I can, yes. Okay, so you should have a in default. Sorry, I just can't see the very bottom of your terminal. It's getting blocked off by Zoom. But it seems like you're doing ls on default. You should see
Yes.
bin. Do you see bin there?
Okay, yeah, I see Ben.
Okay, so now if you run, yeah, if you cd into bin and then run ls, you should see activate.
Oh, okay. There it is.
Now you could change directory back and then change directory 2 more times. So, yep. And now you can do, oh, no, that's too far.
Oh, whoops. Right here.
There you go. Okay, and now you could do source space default slash bin slash activate.
Okay, there we go.
Perfect. Yeah,
Sweet. Thank you.
of course. Everyone else good? I'm gonna assume that if no one brings up an issue, that everyone is good.
No, not quite. So
Okay.
I'm very sorry. I feel like I'm dragging. But I tried doing the code ZSHRC and it's telling me command not found code.
Okay, yeah, let's go ahead and show me your screen real quick.
So I'm supposed to copy and paste this, correct?
Oh, sorry, I'm sharing screen still. There you go. Let me see. So before you do that, can you click can you on your keyboard just click Command Shift P?
Yep.
And then okay, so you installed the code command?
I believe so.
Did that work correctly?
I installed this code command yesterday, I think. I don't know
Okay.
if it did run correctly.
Yeah, can you click on that?
Hmm.
Okay. Go ahead and close it. I think a couple of things might have gone out of order with your environment setup. And what we can do though, can you open up Finder and then open up your CSHRC through Finder? I think if you click on the files on the upper left-hand side, there should be like a like an Explorer or an open tab for you to be able to open up files. I could only see your VS Code in your Google Chrome, so I don't know what you're seeing. Are you making progress
very
and being able to open it or not?
Really sorry. Yeah, so in a second. Can I go into Finder? Or can I just share my other screen? So yeah, in Finder, you said the top left.
Can you show me your downloads real quick? Oh, well, that might be a little weird because you're
I mean, it's all I have right here.
yeah, so your Visual Studio Code is not in apps.
Oh, I have to drag it to apps.
Okay, so now click on applications. And now from applications, open up Visual Studio Code.
Do I have to quit first, probably?
Yeah, I would close the one that you already have opened up.
Okay. All right, and then let me share my other screen back again.
Good catch, Polina. I didn't even think about it. Okay. So now do Command Shift P. Click on the install code command at the very top.
Same thing.
Press OK. And then it seems like the reason why it's doing that is because it's already been installed. So let me see if you can uninstall. Okay, go ahead and open up the control panel with Command Shift P. And then look up shell command uninstall. Yep, click on that one, press OK. It's gonna ask you for a password. Close VS Code and then open VS Code again. Command Shift P. Oh, ran away. Install. Okay, so now from VS Code, go ahead and run code.cshrc. Okay, so it's working. And it's showing your CSHRC file at the very top, right?
This one, yeah. And then
Scroll up.
no,
I have something on line 1 because we're seeing line 2 right now. Okay, so line 1 has the information that you need. So now you could run the source command.
that's in terminal, correct?
Mm-hmm.
What's the file?
Can you command S on .csh or on the file above? Click on the file and then command S. There you go. And now run the terminal command of source. There you go. You're good to go.
Oh, sweet. All right. Appreciate you so much.
Of course. Yeah, that's the whole, I'm sorry everyone, but that's the whole point of today is to make sure everyone's environment is good to go. All right. Yeah, if you need to step away for nature calling, please feel free to do so. All right. Okay, so now we have our source, everything has been done. We made sure, oh, actually we just finished doing our virtual environments, right? So our virtual environment has been able to be activated and we can see that it says default on the left-hand side. Well, now to deactivate it, I just need to run the command deactivate, and that gets rid of the virtual environment. So now I know my virtual environment's working properly. Everyone good up to there? Okay. Awesome. So our virtual environment is good. Python set up, and we're good to move on to Node. So now let's go ahead and start with Node. This one's going to be the easy one. So we're going to go ahead and run brew install npm. That's going to go ahead and download npm, and all npm is the Node. Oh, there you go. Node package manager. All right. Oh, go ahead, Anna.
Sorry, just to step back real quick. When I ran the code, or when I ran deactivate, it said the command's not found.
Okay. Yeah. Is your virtual environment currently activated? On the lower left-hand side of your terminal, do you see default?
Yes, it was a default. I think so.
Let me go ahead and stop sharing so you can show me real quick.
So mine looks a little bit different, but I thought it said default up here, and then when I ran deactivate, I just got ZSH command not found.
Okay. Can you try running? Interesting. Well, it doesn't seem like you're in your virtual environment. You were before, but you're not anymore.
Okay.
Well, it's a weird thing. Let me check it out. If you run ls there, does it show you default?
Yes.
Okay. And then can you change directory into default /bin? Okay, run ls. All right, perfect. So now just change directory to back. You have to put a period after cd. CD space period. Okay, and then run ls. Okay, I think we went a little too far back. Which one of these is you? Anna, right?
And
Yeah, so just change directory into Anna. Okay, now run ls one more time. And it should show you default. Okay, so now we could do source space default / oops. No problem at all. You could press the tab and it will automatically generate it. So you could do source space and then do DE and then press tab. F and then tab. And then / bin / activate. And then run that command. Okay, so that's how you know your virtual environment's activated. it shows up right here.
Gotcha.
All right. So now that you know it's activated, now you can run deactivate. And you're back without your virtual environment.
Okay,
Cool.
awesome. Thank you.
Of course.
Quick question.
Yeah.
So are we installing that not in our virtual environment, I'm assuming?
We are not installing in our virtual environment. Correct.
Gotcha. All right, thanks.
Yes, it's important that everyone's out of their virtual environment before continuing with InstallFest.
Okay, if we install it in both, is that bad?
What did you install in Vode?
Like I just forgot to exit the virtual environment before I installed, I think it was Brew,
NPM.
whichever last one you just, oh yeah, NPM, sorry.
Yeah, no problem at all. Brew will put it in the correct directory. Just you don't want to make a habit out of staying in there.
Gotcha, thanks.
Of course. All right. Perfect. So now we installed Brew. Oh, sorry, not Brew. Now we installed NPM. And now we can go ahead and run this next command, which is sudo npm install -gn. Now, what does that mean? So sudo stands for super user do. Who's the super user? I myself am the super user because I'm the owner of the computer, right? So it's going to ask me for my password when I run any type of sudo command. Now, npm, that's what we just installed, which is the node package manager. So now I'm telling, hey, I as the super user, I want the node package manager to install globally n. Now, n is short for the most stable version that we currently have. So now let's go ahead and run it. So we're going to run sudo npm install -g, which is globally, meaning that I wanted to apply to my entire OS, and then n. So like I said, it's going to ask me for my password. So now it's completed. It was able to install it. And it's telling me, hey, I added one package in 450 milliseconds. Efficiency. And now I'm just going to tell it to stabilize it. Give me the stable version of it. So now it's telling me that it's going to V18. And it's telling me that it's basically bumping me up to 20, I believe. Yep. So it installed V18 and then it bumped me up to 20. All right. And that's it for npm. Now, let's say I want to make sure that both of these work. All right. I have this installfest file. So I'm going to go ahead and change directory into installfest. If I run ls there, there's nothing. So I'm just going to create two files. When I go to create a file, the command for creating a file is touch. So I'm going to say touch prac.js and then touch prac.py. All right, JS stands for JavaScript. So I'm just going to simply tell it console.log. Hello, I'm working. And then Python, which I'm just going to simply tell it to print. Hello, Python is function. All right. So now both of these are there. Now I wonder if they work. So now I'm going to run Python 3, prac.py. We can see that nothing happened for some reason. Oh, that's because I'm not saving. So I need to make sure that I save the file. Because if you don't save, I don't have automatic save on. So now that it's saved, when I run Python 3, prac.py, it gave me, hello, Python is function. All right, so I know that it's able to utilize Python 3 to actually be able to grab whatever file I'm using and interpret it correctly. All right, well, what about node? Well, now I can say node prac.js. And when I run it, it says, hello, I'm working, because that's what I have in my console.log statement. Everyone up to speed here? I'm going to pause a little bit just in case there's a question anywhere. Then after
Yeah,
I'm. Oh,
sorry.
Mhm.
Got When I did the sudo npm install globally n, I got a message that says node no such file or directory.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, let's go ahead. Actually, we've been pushing for quite a bit. It's already 1:38. So let's take a 10-minute break and let's come back let's just make it 1:50 and then continue moving forward. And then that 10-minute break or 12-minute break, if you don't mind, Anna, maybe you could share your screen and we could try diagnosing that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. All right, let's see. Okay, so brew install npm to link version, run brew link node. Did you run brew link node?
I did, and it gave me something that said it wouldn't. Yeah, it said it couldn't. Something like that.
Run that first option, brew link overwrite node. Interesting. It's not writable. And if you try to do npm install, try to do brew install node npm, sorry.
Brew install npm.
Yeah. Okay, but then it's not letting you link it, right? So we're in an infinite loop. Let's try to do brew link node now. I want to see the message one more time to see what it gives us. Could not some link include. Can you run the RM and then those quotation marks? Yeah. Can you do the same command prepended by sudo?
This one?
Yeah, but just prepended by sudo. It's asking you for a quote. Oh, that's because you didn't finish it. Can you put a quote? Do Control C? Just make sure you finish the quote on the right-hand side. There you go. Okay, so it seemed like that one worked. So now let's try to do the brew link again.
Brew link node.
Yes. Okay, could not symlink include GP. It's not writable. Try to do sudo brew link node. Was extremely dangerous. Okay, we don't want to do that then.
Francisco,
Hey, what's
I
up?
shared a link to Stack Overflow. I had the same issue, and I just ran those commands that the first person answered, and it started working. So Anna, you might give it a try.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Is it just that sudo chown -r?
Yeah, like 4 of these
Yeah,
commands, yeah.
perfect. Yeah, you want to try those out?
Yeah, I'll give that a try.
Oh, let me just send them to you on the chat one by one. That way you're not bouncing back and forth.
Great.
Okay, here's the first one. Oh, then I'll let you copy and paste. You could do command backspace.
Oh wait, I do that one.
All right, and then here's the second one. Here's the third. And then you're essentially just giving yourself administrative permissions to all of these different directories. All right. Well, would you look at that? Thank you. Appreciate it, Paulina.
Yeah, thank you.
Easy peasy. And we still have 5 minutes for break.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Hey, Francisco.
Hey, how's it going, Andrew?
Hey, I had a question. Can I share my screen with you?
Of course.
Okay. Um, okay, can you, okay. Let me see. Okay, hold on a sec. It's making me put in my password.
Of course. Yeah, no problem.
All right.
Permissions, permissions. Oh no, that you have to restart. Yeah, he did have to restart. How's it going, Josh? You caught up now?
I think for the most part, yeah. Where did you leave off for the whole group?
We are at right before get.
Okay, so each of these like little sections to like copy and paste. This is like a 3-liner, like brew install npm. Should I do that singly, or like do I copy and paste all 3 of those lines and run that in the terminal?
No, you have to do one at a time for that one. It'll be brew install npm, you run that, then sudo npm install -g, then n, you run that, and then the last one, which is sudo nstable.
Raj, thank you.
Of course.
I have a quick question.
Yeah, what's up?
How critical is it that we have a good processor for this course?
A good processor? I don't think it's super critical. Nothing that we built here is gonna be too intense. But what do you mean? Like, are you having trouble with InstallFest? Because if you're having trouble with InstallFest, then it may be time for a switch.
I mean, sometimes doing the brew update, like I just did another update since I did the install fest a couple weeks ago, but it takes a long time. It hangs up to the point where I used to think that it just stopped running, but no, it might take actual hours.
Okay. I think if you could get through InstallFest, you should be fine. The only time where I think it might cause trouble for you is once we start working with React, because it has to actively compile and then it does a hot reload every time you make a change on a file. So that means that if every time you made a change, you would have to wait quite a bit to see that change reflect. But maybe there's a way that we can diagnose that. Maybe we could get together afterwards and then see if we could move some things around in your operating system to kind of speed it up a little bit. Maybe there's something holding it back.
Okay, because I mean, it's like a 2017 Mac, but it didn't seem like, I don't know, it's, I wish I actually researched more about processors, but like 2.3 gigahertz and a Core i5. Since I moved on to an M1 with my Mac Mini at home, I was like, oh, well, it'll be fine. But it's kind of a night and day difference when I did the install fest on that versus this one. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
Definitely different.
Yeah. Is it possible for you to bring in the Mini and maybe plug in that way?
Yeah, because it's so small. It's pretty portable.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I mean, worst comes to worst, that might be the way to go.
Yeah.
Let's see. I got something from Andrew. I apologize. Yeah, the good old 5-year rule. Awesome. Hey, what's going on, Adam?
Hey, Francisco. Not too bad. We're on a short break, and when you have a moment, I just wanted to do a check-in with you on timing to make sure that I'm keeping my WSL Windows folks on track.
Yeah, let's meet in the main room real quick.
Thank you.
All right, so again, we installed Git, and I'm gonna go ahead and say, hey, Git, I want you to know that this is me by the username of Fravola08, and that's my GitHub handle. All right, so now if I wanted to add my email as well, which I do, I'm just gonna go ahead and use the same command as before. But instead of user.name, I'm gonna say user.email. And then I'm going to put the email that I have connected to my GitHub. Okay. And that should get rid of those two requirements. My email has been set, so has my name. And now if I say get, I think it's user.name. Oh, it didn't work. Let me see, get config user.name. There you go. So now if I go ahead and run get config user.name, it confirms that that's the correct one. It tells me, hey, this is what I know that this is what you told me to recognize you as. And if I do get config user.email and I run that, it spits back the email that I told it to recognize me. So it has the correct credentials and it knows who I am, at least locally. Right? So now I can move on. I can say we also want to make sure that we're committing. We open the commit message. Okay, I guess we could do this. I don't necessarily see a high necessity for this, but all this is saying is every time we want to enter a commit message, it defaults to Vim if we don't dictate a commit message ourselves. So let's do that. Okay. And then it tells me that I can list out all of my configurations and confirm them by you running -L. So here we can see that the username is myself. The user email is the email that I provided. And then my core editor, like if something goes wrong or if something merges with Git but doesn't merge correctly, the first thing it will do is open up my VS Code to be able to do it through Vim. Okay, and that's it for Git locally. Does anyone have any questions about Git locally? Pretty straightforward, right? Okay, perfect.
I got a question.
Mhm.
The email I have on mine is like an outdated email. Can I update that through the terminal, or is that, do you know the command for that to, like, I guess, change your email?
You won't be able to do it through your terminal. You'll have to change it on your GitHub account first and then reflect it on your terminal.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Of course. All right, so now we're going to move on to GitHub. So now this is the actual GitHub interface, and it's the one that we're going to install in our system to basically interact with GitHub and tell GitHub, hey, this VS Code or this system that I'm currently using to talk to you is actually connected to these credentials. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and say brew install GH. And obviously that GH stands for GitHub. Okay, it's running cleanup. Okay, but cleanup was good. All right, so now I was able to install GH. Well, now I can log in. So let's go ahead and say GH auth login. It's going to ask me for a couple of things. So it's going to say, hey, do you want to log in through using github.com or do you want to use GitHub Enterprise Servers? Well, I'm going to use github.com and I'm going to utilize HTTPS. Now, authenticate Git with your GitHub credentials. So Git is what we just finished setting up, which is up here, right? Which what we included our username and we included that email. So I can say yes. And now it's going to ask me, all right, well, how would you like me to authenticate? Do you want to do it through a browser or through a token? Doing an authentication token is kind of a pain. So we're just going to go ahead and do it through the browser. Okay, so now it's going to tell me first copy your entire one-time code. So I'm going to copy that really quick and say Command C. Then it's going to tell me when you press enter, it's going to open up a browser. So now I press enter. There's my browser. And now I can just paste in my one-time code. All right, which is 853C 15DE. Okay, now it's telling me, hey, you're authenticating. I want to authorize. It's going to ask me for my password. I'm going to give it my password. Then it's going to tell me, congratulations, you're all set. Okay, and then here we can see that this was updated as well. It says authentication complete. My GH configuration was complete. And it tells me that I am logged in as Fravala08, which is my GitHub handle. Okay, does anyone have any questions about that? Everyone up to speed? Okay, perfect. All right, so now there's goes into a couple of things about testing your GH and how to authenticate other things and pull things down from the internet. So let's try doing it. Try cloning a repository through GH. So I'm going to go ahead and say through GitHub, I want to clone a repo. So repo clone //. So we can see that it's cloning it. And actually, let me open this up. So we can see when I ran gh repo clone //, it created a directory named // And once it's done installing, when I open this up, it's going to show me everything that's inside of that repository, which I wonder if I can find really quick. So everything inside this directory is what it's installing right now. So if I view the code, we should be able to see once this is done, all of these different files and these couple of directories that are here. So currently right now it's at 93%, almost done. Oh, there you go. So now if I open up // we can see the .github, which is the same that we have here, .husky, the src, all the testing files, and then all the different files that came included in this repository. All right, so I just basically cloned this repository from GitHub, doing it through my terminal. Does anyone have any questions about how that works or how we made it happen? Just starting to get a little dry and boring. I apologize, everyone. I can see I'm losing you all. I'm trying here, okay? All right. So there we have // that's completed. I don't really want to hold on to it, so I'm going to remove it. So I'm going to run rm, which is for removing a file. But since this is a directory, I have to remove it recursively for // Okay, and now remove the directory and all the files within it. We're almost done, everyone. We're almost done. We could take a break here soon. All right, so now the next thing we have is aliases. So now an alias is just basically telling my computer, hey, I want you to recognize these specific commands through an abbreviated version of them. All right. So for example, right now, if I run Python, it doesn't know what I'm talking about. All right. But if I run Python 3, it actually opens up a script for it. Well, how do I fix that? How do I tell my computer that when I type in Python on its own, instead of doing Python 3, it should be able to recognize that I'm trying to say Python 3? Well, all I do is I open up the .zshrc. Okay, so it's going to code it. And then we see the export path. And then I'm just going to establish a couple of aliases, which are right here. So I'm going to grab them, paste them. Okay, so this is going to tell Python, or this is going to tell my CSH, hey, when somebody types in Python, I want you to refer to Python 3. And when somebody types in pip, I want you to refer to pip 3. So I'm going to save the file. After the file is saved, I'm going to exit. And now if I type in Python, it's still going to fail and embarrass me. But if I close the terminal and I open it up again, now it's able to recognize it. So now I run Python and it says, oh, well, you're talking about Python 3. And it goes straight into Python 3. And if I do pip, it also knows exactly what I'm talking about, even though I didn't include the 3 at the end. And I know that this is working through my aliases because if I do which Python now, it's going to say Python is an alias for Python 3. Does anyone have any questions about aliases?
Yeah, I put those commands in, but Python's still saying command not found.
Did you close the terminal and open a new one?
think I did. So I just exited out and then I hit the tab or Command Shift Caret again. Python. Oh, it's working now.
There you go. Awesome. Okay. So now aliases are done. We have Python set up and everything's good to go. So
I have a question.
yeah, go ahead.
So I have that default. How do I exit from that?
The default, how do you exit from that? Deactivate.
Deactivate.
Yeah, you're referencing to your virtual environment, correct?
Correct. Yes, sir.
Okay.
So I just type deactivate.
Yeah, you just type deactivate into the terminal.
It says name deactivate is not defined.
Okay, let me go ahead and take a look at your screen. Oh, I see. You're in Python. So you just do exit and then with an opening and closing parentheses. As if it were a function. Nope. So exit and then, yep, there you go. Perfect.
Oh, appreciate it.
And now you could do deactivate. There you
All
go.
right, thank you.
Of course. All right. Okay, so now we have our aliases set up. We've gone over how to install all of our repos. And finally, we can get to the fun part, which is Postgres. All right, so Postgres is kind of a pain. So if you don't have Postgres already set up, or even if you think you already have Postgres set up, please make sure that you're following along with me, because Postgres has been a sticking point before, and we want to make sure that everyone's environment's good to go by the end of today. So let's go ahead and run brew install Postgres at PostgreSQL at 14. That's going to install version 14 of Postgres. Okay. So now that has Postgres. Oh, go ahead.
You said it was, is that a Q? Sorry, never mind. I just saw where you copied it. I got the question answered.
Oh, okay, perfect. All right. So now it tells me specifically, hey, before you start Postgres, you need to make sure that you restart every time you log in. And you could do that by saying brew services start at Postgres, brew services start PostgreSQL at 14. So now I can just paste it, run that really quick. That's going to start Postgres. Okay, so now it's saying that Postgres has started. But if I want to confirm, I can run brew services. And we can see I have PostgreSQL at 14. It has started. The user is Francisco, which is myself. And then here is where Postgres is located. When you run brew services, you should see this or a version of this. The most important part is that you see PostgreSQL at either versions 12 and up, nothing less than 12, and that it says started. Does everyone see that? Okay, I see a couple of thumbs up and majority head nods. Anthony, you're kind of frozen in time. You're like in the third dimension. Are you good?
I was just trying to.
You're fighting
I'm trying to
dragons
find
over
the
there. I
command.
get it.
No, I'm trying to find that command, the one that you just ran prior to. If you scroll up a little, brew services start. Okay.
Wait, so is it start or restart?
So this one is start,
Okay.
but either start or restart will do the same thing. The only difference is that if you run start when it's already started, it's going to give you an error saying like, hey, this service has already been started. Whereas if you run restart, if it's already started, it's going to shut it down and then restart it.
Thank you.
Of course. All right, all good, Anthony? Okay, perfect. So everybody should be able to see this. Everyone's Postgres, it says that it has started. So now we can go ahead and run PSQL Postgres. And we should see a Postgres terminal, which is our database, has been initialized, and we can actually look at some data, right? So if I were to do something like /L, I can see a list of all the other databases there is. Yes, database, no. Data tables, databases, right? So here we have Postgres, we have a template 0 and a template 1, and we can see that the owner is myself. So we're good there. I can see that Postgres has been installed. Was everyone able to enter and see this information? Was a better question. Was anyone not able to enter and see this information?
So what'd you type to get that?
/L.
System's just being a little slow right now, I think, with the Zoom and Slack and VS Code running at the same time.
Okay, yeah, no problem at all. I could give it a couple minutes. Are you all good, Robert?
Yeah, I'm good. I used the wrong slash initially.
Oh, okay, perfect.
I think I've just been running Postgres constantly for like the last 2 weeks. Is that a problem?
No, it shouldn't be using enough space to, or even performance to make a difference. But if you notice a significant difference in your speed, then yeah, I would just stop it. All right. Okay, well, that was a lot easier than I expected it to be. So that's great. So now that we are all done, I'm just going to go ahead and request all of you to please make sure that you make a JavaScript script and a Python script, and that you can successfully run both of them. Currently right now is 2:20. Let's take until 2:30, and then in those 10 minutes, just make that script, make sure that it's able to run successfully and that you can run them with the correct commands, just to make sure that everyone's able to run Python and JavaScript successfully, and then make sure that your Postgres is set up. I'm going to be off camera, but I'll still be here. If you need anything, just say my name and I'll be summoned. I'll populate. All right. I'll see everyone here in 10 minutes.
Should we exit out of the Postgres? Is it all good, or do we just leave it there?
Yes, to exit out of Postgres, you just do the /Q that I have here. Okay, fantastic. All right, so just like I previously mentioned, everything that we're going to do from now on is going to be more on the familiarization side. And it's just to get ourselves more in touch with VS Code. I know to some of us, it may be a new tool. To some of us, it may not be. But we're also going to be utilizing GitHub, and we need to make sure that we fully understand how to use both these tools, right? So let's say I'm working through the Code Platoon curriculum. And I finish up day 1's lesson. So now I'm going to go back to day 1. I go to the install fest, and at the very bottom of the README, we should have assignments, which it doesn't seem like we have. Okay, here we go. So here's our assignment, right? We want to do some CLI practice. Okay, but it seems like the CLI practice is more of a practice on your own. So maybe a better example will be day 2. So let's go back into the curriculum. We go into JS, and let's just do day 3 because I know that one is set and good to go. Okay, so here in day 3, we go into the JS and Jest. And at the very bottom, oh, excuse me, not at the very bottom. And here we can see that we have our 4 assignments, right? We have this factorial, there's Roman numerals, the Fibonacci sequence, and this linear search. So here's our 4 assignments. If I click on factorial, it's going to take me over to this algorithm in Code Platoon assignments. And I can view the code. All right, it comes with the README, and it has all this information. Okay, well, that's great and all, but what does that do for me? Well, me as a student, I'm now looking at this repository. I can see that I have all this information, but I need to actually be able to work with it. I need to be able to create things. I see that I have a sheet that I'm supposed to work with, and then I have a sheet that says spec, which has a test suite on it, or a form of a test suite on it for me to be able to run my code and make sure that it's working correctly, right? Well, when I go to the upper right-hand corner here where it says code, it gives me a couple of options. So it tells me local. This is something that you want to do locally. Well, I do want to clone this repository, right? We saw cloning earlier. Now that everything's set up with Git and GitHub on my actual terminal and my local computer, I can use HTTPS to clone this repository. So I'm going to click on this copy. And then I'm going to go ahead and open up my terminal. So now my terminal opens up. So here's my terminal. If I run ls, we can see that I have applications, desktop, documents, downloads, etc., etc. All right. So in this case, let's say I wanted to make an assignments directory. How could I do that, Robert?
So if you want to make an assignments directory,
Yes.
would that be mkdir?
Okay, so make directory.
And then assignments.
Okay, so now I did mkdir assignments. It seems like it was successful. How do I check if it was successful or if that directory was created? Clarice?
Could you do ls?
Yeah, I could do ls, and then I could see that there's something named assignments now. All right. Okay, so now in this case, Chad, how could I enter the assignments directory and then make a new directory named day one?
So we'll do cd and then type assignments. And then would we do touch assignment one then?
Okay, assignment. Okay, so now if I run an ls here, I see assignment one. I utilize touch as the command to create assignment one. Does touch create a file or does it create a directory?
It creates a directory.
Oh.
No, sorry, it creates a file. Sorry.
Right, so touch creates a file. So I actually want a directory. So let me remove assignment one. So now let's see, Anthony, how do I remove a file from a directory?
I think it's rm.
Yeah, perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and say rn assignment one. And now if I run ls again, I can see that it's empty. So now, Josh, how do I create a directory named assignment one?
mkdir space assignment one.
Okay, so mkdir space assignment one. Okay, so now in this directory, I want to enter assignment one, and then I want to clone the repository that I just copied. So how do I enter this directory, Anna?
CD assignment one.
Okay, CD assignment one. All right, and then Frank, how do I clone the directory that I just copied from my GitHub repository, right? So I went over, I click here, I click copy. Okay, I have it. But how do I clone it locally? Yeah, we did it with GH earlier, but now we're trying to do it with Git, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Do you know how I can make the guide for Git populate? Like the different commands I can trigger?
So not that one. I think it's a git Drawing a blank, I'm sorry.
No, I mean, you're right. It's just Git. Yeah. So we just run Git, right? And then it tells me, hey, I don't know what it is that you want to do. And it tells me if you're trying to start a working area, these two commands are available, right? So knowing that out of these two commands, which ones am I trying to use? Am I trying to clone something from GitHub, or am I trying to initialize something that I will later push to GitHub?
Git clone.
Perfect. So then I can just say git clone and then paste that URL that I got from HTTPS, right? And now when I run this, we can see it's cloning it. It's going to tell me, okay, well, now I'm complete and I was able to clone that repository. So now if I run ls, we can see that algo factorial exists in my local machine. All right. So now at this point, Aaron, how do I open algo factorial using VS Code?
Let's see, is it that's blue? Isn't that a directory? So don't we have to change to it first?
Yeah, I could change into it first. So let's change into algo factorial. And now
I could do code space period, and that would open everything.
perfect. Yeah, code space period, and that opens everything. Right. So then I say I trust it. I take a look here, and now I can see that I have those three files. Right, I can see my README. And then for markdown files, if you guys don't like the way this looks because it's a little kind of dirty, you could always do Command Shift V as in Victor, and that will make it go into preview mode. And then in preview mode, you could see it more in a nicer tone. Right? Then everything else is pretty simple. I just code inside of my factorial section, wherever I need to do, and then I run my test suite. And now that I know that it works through Node, well, here I can just say node factorial.js, right? It's not printing anything. It's not console logging anything. That's because I'm not telling it to. If I wanted to, I can say console.log, or actually, I can go here and say console.log. This is factorial. Now, when I run it, oh, forgot to save it. And now when I run it, it's going to console.log. This is factorial. Right? We pulled all of this from GitHub, and we were able to utilize Git through our terminal to be able to open it up through VS Code. Now, we've seen myself a couple of times trying to run a specific file, but the file doesn't run. And it doesn't run because I just simply forgot to save it. Well, VS Code has a setting for that. I can go into settings, I believe. And, oh, it's not in there. Let's see, file. Autosave, there you go. So if you go into file and you come down to autosave and you click it, well, then every time there's a change in a file, it's going to automatically save it so that you don't have to continuously go back and do Command S to save it. Okay. So now let's talk about Git really quick. I made a couple of changes here, and we can see that I have these green lines. What do we think these green lines mean?
The new changes.
Yeah, it's telling me, hey, this is added on. This didn't exist before. I don't know what you changed, but it's added. So I could do like / and say, let's say I put a comment in there, right? This is also a change, but notice that the line is blue with stripes around it. Right, so this signifies this line already exists, but the content of this line has been changed. Whereas green signifies these lines didn't exist before, and now they do. Right? They don't necessarily care about the content inside of it because we can see that this one is empty and it's still green. It's just saying, hey, these lines didn't exist before, but now they do. Does that make sense so far? Okay, great. Now, why does that matter to me? Well, Git is a really powerful tool that a lot of developers don't really learn how to use until way later in their career. But we're hoping that throughout the process of our program, you guys will get a good handle on how Git works. well, if I do git status right now, it's going to tell me, hey, there's been something that's been modified. So it tells me git status. Okay, so I'm on branch main. So it's telling me out of all the different branches that I could have in a repository, I'm on main. And it's telling me that I'm currently up to date with origin main. But then it says, hey, just so you're tracking, there's been changes to this documents that haven't been staged. So then it tells me in red, hey, this file has been modified, factorial.js, right? Okay, it's been modified. Well, now let's say I want to change it. I'm going to go ahead and say git add, and then I could either specify the name of the file that I want to add, or I could just say all by putting a period. Okay, so that's added everything. Well, now if I run git status one more time, we can see that that modified went from red to being in green. And notice that the message changed as well. It says changes not staged for commit. And now it says these changes are staged for commit, but they haven't been committed. So now I need to commit this change. Well, how do I do that now? I'm going to go ahead and say git commit -m. And then it's very important that you leave a message. So I'm going to say practice. Right, so git commit -m practice. Now, when I run, that's going to tell me, okay, we're tracking this has changed. One file has changed. There's been 3 new lines, and there's been 1 deletion. Okay, that's great. Now I wonder, if I did that, do we think that if I go to GitHub, this file would look different right now? Yeah, do we think it would look different? Well, let's check it out. Oh, where did you go? There you are. Okay, so now I'm in GitHub and I go to factorial.js, but this still looks the same. Nothing has changed. All right. If we take a look here in my VS Code, we can see that these 2 files are different. Wow, this will not close. Right, we can see that I have a console.log here, and there's no console.log over here. Here I have 8 lines, and here I only have 5. So obviously there's a difference. But for some reason, it's not demonstrating. Can anybody tell me why it's not demonstrating?
Is it a different branch or something?
Well, let's check out the branches, right? I can say, well, I wonder what branch I'm on. So I'm going to run git branch, and it tells me that I'm on branch main. Well, this is also on branch main. So remember, git is happening locally, right? So the way I think of it is kind of like if I go to an airport, right? When I go to an airport and I make changes, I'm like going through security and making all that stuff. Okay, great. When I do git add, finally I made it through security, and now I'm at the gate where I'm supposed to be waiting until they board us, right? When I do git commit, everyone gets on the plane, right? All of my changes are getting on the plane, they're getting ready to take off. But git push, which is the final step, is what actually puts all of those changes on GitHub, right? Which means that the plane is actually taking me to a different location. Now, I don't want to push into this location exactly. Instead, I want to push into my own repository, and I want to create my own branch. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to my repositories, and then I'm going to create a new one. I'm not going to choose template or anything. I'm just going to call it my practice. I'm going to place myself as the owner. Practice is available. I don't need to add a README or any of that sort. Oh, go ahead, Brian.
So I install, or I got a copy, a clone of the algo factorial, and I just wanted to run the program, and it's giving me a code module not found error.
Interesting. You would have to check your current directory. Let me finish off my thought process real quick, and then as soon as I'm done here, I'll go back to address your question. Thank you. Okay. All right, so now we have this repository. It says practice. I'm the owner, and I'm going to go ahead and create this repository. All right, well, now this repository is mine, right? It belongs to me. And here it tells me, hey, just in case you're trying to get something from your local machine up to us, like this is how you could do it, right? Or if it's already an existing repository from the command line, you need to change the branch existence. So now let's see what we have here. Let me make this bigger so that we can all see it. Okay. If I run git remote, and remote is a reference that we can utilize to reference to the GitHub portion, right? Because GitHub is online, it's remote, it doesn't exist in my local machine. And I say git remote origin -v, or actually it's git remote -v. I'm going to tell it to basically echo or tell me the current remote version that I'm working with. And it's going to tell me, hey, this is currently where you're connected to. You're connected to Code Platoon assignments at Algo Factorial. But that's not where I want it to be connected to. I want it to be connected to my repository. All right, so I'm just going to simply remove it. So I'm going to say git remote rm origin. And now if I do git remote -v again, we can see that it doesn't give me anything because I removed the origin. It's no longer connected to Code Platoon assignments. Well, now, if I come over to my repository, I can copy this origin here. And I can say git remote add origin, paste a new origin, which is connected to my account on my repository named practice. Click enter. And then I can say git remote -v. And now it's telling me, okay, well, now you're connected to Francisco's repository of practice.git. Does that make sense to everyone?
How did you create your own repository?
I went over to GitHub and then you go over to your repositories. And once you go over to your repositories, there's a button that says new. And you can just create a new repository there.
Thank you.
Of course. Okay. Great. So now I got all of my people made it through security. Think of the repository as a destination, right? So now I created the destination. I got all of my changes to board on the plane. And now everything's ready. Everything has been committed. Everything has been staged. And the plane knows where it's supposed to be taking the information. Okay. So now finally, all I need to do is git push origin main. And when I run that, the plane's taking off and it's taking over my information over to GitHub. Well, now if I go to GitHub and I refresh this repository, it's going to show me my factorial. All right. And if I click on factorial.js, it's going to show me the changes that I made, where it's saying console.log, this is a factorial. Any questions about anything I just did? We're going to be doing this on a daily basis, so you're going to get plenty of practice. All right, what's up, Matt?
Is there a way to create an origin from the command line, or do you have to go through GitHub, the browser?
There is a way to create an origin through the command line. You would have to do it through GH. I don't know the commands off the top of my head, but I know there is a way to do it. Awesome. Frank?
I just had a question. So I actually tried to access the curriculum on GitHub, and it's gave me like a 404.
Okay. Yeah,
for a lot of the stuff that like you can click on.
Oh, for a lot of the stuff that you can click on?
Yeah.
Okay.
So like if I go into InfoFest, it lets me in there. I try to, just follow along with the Fibonacci sequence one, and it gave me a 404.
Yeah, there should have been an
Yeah.
invitation that was sent to your email for Code Platoon assignments.
Oh, I got it and clicked on it, and that's how I ended up there, but it's not letting me in.
It's still not
for some
letting you
reason.
in. Interesting. Let
It
me,
lets me into install fest, but that's it.
okay. Let me pause the recording really quick. Okay. That is an easy fix. Let's go ahead and go over that really quick. Okay, it doesn't seem like there are any other questions regarding over what we just covered. So let's take a look and try to work with our curriculum a little bit. So let's go over to Code Platoon. All right, when everyone goes over to the Code Platoon curriculum, this is what they should see originally. Here we have a pin. Say again. Oh, okay, no problem at all. So here we see pinned, and under pinned, we see curriculum. We also have repositories, and we have a bunch of repositories that we'll be working with sooner rather than later. But either the curriculum that's been pinned or the curriculum at the very top, they're both the same one. You just click on the one that says curriculum, and that's going to take you to our actual curriculum. Now here, we have it divided by modules. Right, we can see that in module 1, we'll cover JS and Python. In module 2, we'll cover object-oriented programming. Module 3 will cover data structures. And then module 4 will cover full stack application and so on. This is going to change as we progress forward. But the first 3 weeks are already done and set and ready to go. So now we go into module 1. And in module 1, we can see we have InstallFest, which is what we went over today. Right, and then day 2, which is what we're going to be covering tomorrow, is going to be strictly on Git and GitHub, more in depth than what we've gone over today. And then day 3 is going to cover JavaScript and Jest. So if we click on day 3, in the main README, it tells me lectures and assignments. So the main topic is a lecture, and then the 2 subtopics are the assignments. Right, so if I wanted to look at the lecture, I can click on JS intro, and that would take me over to the lecture. And if I just wanted to look at the assignments, well, then I could click on the assignment link, and that would take me over to Code Platoon assignments to the correct assignment repository. Does that answer your question, Clarice?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. How's everyone else doing? Does anyone have any questions about anything regarded to the student resources that you have available? Anything that was covered today? At this point, we're pretty much about done. There's really nothing else that we need to cover for today. I just want to make sure that everyone feels comfortable with their operating systems and their development environments at this point.
I was gonna say I also have the same problem as Frank. I think it's because I didn't do that email for the GitHub profile until like this morning. So I think I was just late to get added to it.
Okay. Yeah, no problem at all. So you got it this morning and you accepted it, but you still don't have access?
No, so I only had I didn't see one of this fill the Google form surveys that they had us fill out. One of them was about our GitHub profile, and they had me put just GitHub information, which I'm assuming is how you grant access to the curriculum.
Right.
So I think I did that so late, I just don't have access yet.
Oh, because you have an outdated email. I see. Okay. Well, as soon as you get that done, please just let us know what the new email is so that we can send you the invitations.
It should have I'm trying to figure it out. I couldn't find it on my actual, it's weird. The email it shows that I have on my using Git and GH or whatever, it's not actually an email used on my GitHub. So I'm super confused where that email is even coming from.
Okay. Yeah. That's weird. Let me try. What email do you use to log into GitHub right now? You're muted, Matt.
Yeah, I'm trying to type it out here for you.
Oh, okay. Perfect.